Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the new Part 3 LR. Yes, Part 3 LR that is coming out for DBZ Dokkan Battle for Part 3 of the good old Global Dokkan celebration. So this is a Super Saiyan Gohan team, plus a Super Saiyan Trunks Kid and Super Saiyan Goten Kid. It's a reversible exchange unit that is Gohan at the start and then becomes Trunks and Goten. In terms of lead, this is the most important. Hybrid Saiyans, Youth, or Defenders of Justice, Ki +3, HP 200%, attack and defense 170%, and an additional 50% HP attack and defense for characters who belong to siblings, bond of parent and child, bond of friendship. So they are a hybrid Saiyans lead functionally. That includes some characters like Videl, for example. That includes some characters like Goku, for example, Goku Youth in that, which is very interesting. But ultimately, they are a hybrid Saiyans. These guys are going to be to run your Super Saiyan 2 Gohans, your Kamehameha Gohans. These guys, of course. Then you're also looking at running potentially some Saiyamans in future. Videl, like I mentioned. Got your Goku Youths kind of run augmentation. Attack and defense of 200%. Launch an additional super attack. Receive Ki +3 per Rainbow Ki Sphere obtained. When receiving an attack, 250% defense. For the first turn from the character's entry, damage reduction of 40%. Or allies attack and defense of 30%. When there's another hybrid Saiyans or bond of parent and child category ally on the team, Ki +7 attack and defense of 250% when attacking. And all allies attack and defense 30% and chance of performing a crit 15%. Self-excluded. One or more Rainbow Ki Spheres obtained, defense of 200%, damage reduction rate of 38%, launches an additional super attack and attack of 200% when attacking. 12 or more Int Ki Spheres obtained, or 5 Rainbow Ki Spheres obtained, defense of 258% up, and damage reduction rate of 20% up. All allies, attack and defense 58% for 2 turns. So before we go on to the next bit, just kind of talk through it. So obviously that first turn, additional support there. When receiving an attack, always is great. 250% defense is huge. It's very much like Gotenks. It's a great mechanic to have. It temporarily gives them defensive boosts, allowing them to deal with things like super attacks, etc. Ki +7, pretty normal, pretty valid, pretty interesting. All allies, the support, 15% crit, 30% attack and defense, pretty stock standard nowadays for a character that's kind of being brought to bring a category back to relevancy. One or more Rainbow Ki Spheres, pretty interesting. So they don't generate Rainbow Ki Spheres, but one Rainbow Ki Sphere will give them 200% defense, 38% damage reduction, and also, of course, launch an additional super. If you then get 5 Rainbow Ki Spheres somehow, or 12 or more Int Ki Spheres, defense goes up hugely, an additional 20% damage reduction rate, bringing you up to 58% in total, and 2 turn support on top of your single turn support. So immediately that's really good. If you look at everything there, 58% damage reduction, lots of defense up, lots of multiple multiplier levels of defense up, which is really solid. Additionals built in twice. Launch an additional super as a base effect. One more Rainbow Ki Sphere, launch an additional super as well, which is pretty important. And then when 2 or more hybrid Saiyan category allies are on the team, starting from the third turn or just starting from the 5th turn, meet up with Gotenks and Trunks, and they can become reversible exchange. In terms of the active skill, this can be activated when there are another 2 or more hybrid Saiyans category allies on the team, starting from the 3rd turn or starting from the 5th turn. Massive raises attack temporarily, causes element damage to the enemy, and with the turn activated, all attacks become critical hits, changes all Ki Spheres to Int and Rainbow Ki Spheres. So there is his, Int, there's his guaranteed turn of being defensively amazing, which makes sense. In terms of links, Super Saiyan, Kamehameha, Saiyan Warrior Race, Prepare for Battle, All in the Family, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, and lots of categories. Lots and lots and lots of categories, understandably so. They've also thrown in their Fusion and Fuse Fighters through a little bit of a gimmick with the Gotenks and the Trunks units, or the Trunks and the Gotens and the Gotenks active skill, but that's great, that's fine. Allows them to run under a couple of potential leads. Raises attack for 4 turns. Well, we'll take a look now. Raises attack for 4 turns on the 12 key. Raises chance of crit by 10% for 4 turns. Raises defense for 1 turn. Raises crit chance of 58% for 1 turn. So you don't even have to have crit chance really on these guys. Okay? So yeah, pretty interesting that. Lots of crit occurring on the supers. Great way to basically just have crit built in. So it's more a full additional evasion kind of unit, which I think is very interesting. Transforming or switching to Goten and Trunks. Like we said, 2 hybrid Saiyans from the 3rd turn, etc. Trunks and Goten, pretty interesting. Okay, so Trunks and Goten, same leader skill of course. It's the passive that's always more interesting here. So it can perform reversible exchange. Ki of +5, defense of 100%, medium chance of crit. Great chance of launching a super and receives 2 ki per type key sphere. With the type key sphere obtained, chance of evading 77% up. So that's pretty nuts with a key sphere obtained. Chance of evading up 77%. So you need a singular key sphere to have a 77% evasion chance, which I think is pretty good. 2 or more type key spheres obtained, attack of 100%, defense of 100%. 4 or more type key spheres obtained, launches an additional super attack, guards all attacks. Per youth category ally on the team, attack of 200%, chance of evasion up 10%. And per hybrid Saiyans category ally on the team, defense up 500%. So what's super interesting, let's just talk about this before we get to this final little bit here. They have a 77% damage, they have 77% evasion, great chance of launching additional super, medium chance of performing a crit. With type key spheres, 2 or more or 4 or more, basically, they give themselves nice big boosts. Guards all attacks, really nice. Per youth category ally on the team, attack of 200%, chance of evasion 10%. So with just 3 youth category allies on the team, they will have 100% evasion. Seems pretty nuts. And then per hybrid Saiyans category ally on the team, they have defense 100% up to 500%. So what that means is if you run, for example, like a youth Goten, or you run like a youth Gohan, or anything like that, these guys are basically going to be able to evade anything, which is pretty interesting. When receiving a super, they also gain 15% evasion. So you don't even have to have more than 1 youth unit. Or allies keep +3, attack and defense is 30% within the turn. Youth category allies, chance of evasion of 5% for 2 turns self-excluded. So it's just a very, very interestingly designed unit, isn't it? It's the kind of unit that very clearly, if the event disables evasion, you don't want to run. But if the event doesn't disable evasion, you basically have an almost immortal god. So it's a very, very fun little unit. Obviously interesting to build, but I think very fun. Then we have the fusion active skill, which massively raises attack temporarily, causes ultimate damage to the enemy. And youth category allies get 20% attack and defense up in battle, which is pretty cool. So it's a flat buff. It'll also include them as well. So just to clarify, because they're on the youth category, it will include them as well. So players will not have to panic. It will give them a flat buff, even if you switch back to Gohan, which is pretty cool. Raise the attack and defense for 4 turns, and then on their 12 key, raise the attack for 1 turn, cause mega colossal damage. Raise the superclass allies attack by 50% for 1 turn, and great chance of raising superclass allies defense by 50% for 1 turn. So if the event does not disable evasion, you basically run Goten and Trunks. You won't get hit. You will boost the rest of your rotation. You will give yourself some pretty cool buffs. And you don't have to really do a lot of orb management outside of 4 type key spheres, which is pretty interesting. Then we come to Spopovich. So before I talk about Spopovich, I just want to give my final thoughts. I think these guys are very good. I think these guys are very solid. I think they are incredibly good units. And I think overall they are really impressive. And I think overall they are fantastic unit. There's a little bit, quite a bit of orb management for Gohan. So it's going to remain to be seen if that hinders him from running at his full power enough. Because it is a lot of orbs. To get that full buff is very difficult. So it's going to be interesting to see. But we'll take a look. And I think overall it's going to be fun to see how this unit does. Are they going to save hybrid Saiyans or be a lead that's going to make hybrid Saiyans function amazingly? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, so we'll definitely take a look. Spopovich, on the other hand, I don't like this. So I don't like this unit. I didn't like Champa in part 1. I don't like Spopovich either. Neither of them help teams that they're meant to help. Spopovich is not going to run under Rose. Spopovich is not going to run under, Omega Shenron probably. Not going to run him under the Blue Boys. Not going to run him under the Goten, Trunks, and Gohan. You're not going to run him under a Majin Buu Saga team. You're not going to run him under anything, really. So it's just a very, very strange unit to have. Corroded Body and Mind or Majin Buu Saga category lead, 130%. Evil Autocrats, Demonic Power, Tough as Nails. These are just very strange links that just not going to work. Key plus 2, attack and defense of 200%. When there's another extreme class ally attacking the same turn, damage reduction of 40%. Key of 2, defense of 50%. When attacking defense of 200%. For every attack performed, tackle 100% within the turn. Before receiving 8 attacks in battle, damage reduction of 40%, defense of 200%. After receiving 8 or more attacks in battle, attack and defense of 200%. Chance of performing a crit, up 40%. Foresees all enemies' super attacks within the turn. When there's a tournament participant category enemy, defense of 50%, chance of crit 20%, launch an additional super. When there's an Earthlings category enemy, defense of 50%, chance of performing a crit, and launches an additional super. When there's a Paper Gals category enemy, defense of 50%, chance of performing a critical hit, launches an additional super. Remember, he's getting that 100% stack within the turn every time he's firing, or just performing an attack. So if you had taken his base super, you taken his secondary super, you taken his third super, you taken his fourth super, and you taken one from the hidden potential system, you could see some crazy nutty attack stats with this guy. And defensively, he's not bad. This is not a bad kit for a Spopovich at all. My issue is that he's not coming at the right time for the categories that he's on. Mission execution, he's not directly servicing that team. Majin Buu Saga, you're not going to run a hybrid team between Super and Extreme. Corroded Body and Mind doesn't have an outright liar here. And he's not an Inhuman Deed, so can't work for Omega Shenron. So Spopovich's kit is excellent. Spopovich looks good in design. The conditional requirements to facing certain enemies I think is fun and interesting for him. I just think it's the wrong time. I just think it's a weird time to bring this unit in. Could have brought him in when you maybe revamped Majin Buu Saga with a new Extreme lead or something like that. That's just my thoughts and opinions on it. It's not necessarily saying he's bad. I think his kit is great. I just think the timing of him is a bit weird. Raises attacking defense one turn and lowers the enemy's attacking defense. All very good. So yeah, that's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know your thoughts on the units, and as always, take care and bye.